As you can see, I'm in my Visual Studio Drive here. I've got my walk through here. This naturally would be a compressed zip. We'd have to right click, 7-zip, and unarchive it or unzip it, but I've already done that process. I'm going to go straight in. We can see questions. If I open that up, we get a PDF with some questions in place. We have an answer document, which is where we need to answer some of these questions as we go along. We have a image of a smartphone. And if I close that a second, we have a text file which has some text in place to be used within that exam. So I'm going to snap this side by side and let's get started and have a look what's inside here. Question 1 then says, describe the effect the following HTML tag has on a web page. A, that is our anchor tag, creates a link, and I'm going to say a href link, let's say to another website. Okay, so what's B? UL. It creates an unordered list. An unordered list. So that would be a bullet point list rather than a numeric list. HR, horizontal rule. That creates a line across the page. What we've got then for D, we have a block quote. So sets the text inside the tag as a direct quote, changing its style. And then the last one, E, is BR, so that's a line break, so same as going to the next line. So there's our first set of questions, looking at question 1 here. Question 2 then looks at a draft design for a HTML web page as shown by here. And if we go into the document, that is our phone text here, we can see that that is identical to that. And it says that they have designed, the design was improved to provide formatting to show below. Copy the text from the electronic document, well, it's already here for us. Insert the HTML tags that we needed to display the content and formatting shown in the improved design. Save it as the image is smartphone PNG. Title should be called smartphone launch as it is there, and save it as phone.txt. So it's already set up here as phone.txt, so we need to change this one. I'm going to go to file and new file here and actually drag them side by side so I can have two at the same time. This is going to be a type of HTML file. So in my Visual Studio walkthrough folder, I'm going to call this phone.html so that I can test it as we go along to see if I'm happy with it. I'm going to start off by inserting the HTML tag. As you can see there, I've inserted the HTML tag. I've got a head tag, I've got some meta information, a body tag, and the end in HTMLs. So title. They've told us, and we can see here, that it's smartphone launch. So can I copy that? And paste it. I can. Brilliant. So new smartphone is our main heading. If it's a main heading, if it's a top title, it should always be a heading 1. Underneath that we have a small sentence, so that's going to be our paragraph tag, introducing our new phone's features. Now, the next one down is our bullet pointed list. We've got 3 elements, and as we said earlier, that's going to require an unordered list. So we have list items for each of these, and all I'm going to do is put in 3 list items to start, and then I can just take actually 4 items, because there's one here that they didn't include, or I didn't include, when I created the other one. So let's grab that one, drag that there, and one last one here, fast processor, as a final piece. Now that would be in place there for so far. I'm going to come down. We have, let's have a look at how it's laid out, another piece of text. So this is going to be this click here to purchase element as a p tag. And yep, when I've done that p tag, then I'm going to want a href tag, which is going to be equal to smartphone UK. Now that is set up, it's got the www, but it's not going to work correctly just yet. I'm going to show you why in 2 seconds time. There's my ahref, and I need my image tag then. Its source is equal to and they've given us the name of it. It is smartphone.png. That should be the name of the file in our documents. We'll check that in a second, but that should put that in place as well then. So if I was to save this and go into my walkthrough documents, I now have a icon for Firefox. I clicked the wrong button earlier on and it's made Firefox my default browser. I didn't mean to, but never mind, here we have it. Smartphone launch, I've got the new smartphone, I've got this element in place, I've got that. If I click onto this, it's going to try and take me to my file /www. That is because we haven't told it needs to go outside of our website. We do that by putting in our HTTPS tag here. So I save that again. Let's open up the Firefox window and just compare them side by side. So I'm looking at that, that's in the right place, that's in the right place, that's all in the right place. That picture's not. It's in line there, it should be over a bit. So what I'm going to do is in this section here, I'm actually going to put in a break line, a BR tag, and I want this in the middle, so I'm going to add a center tag, remembering that center should be spelt in the American spelling. Now with all of that in place then, I'm going to open this up one final time, and I can compare those, and if I was to make the website smaller, that would look like they've done it there. So if I was looking at the two in comparison, I'm happy with the fact that they are all laid out as should be. Now it says, save your new web page as phone.txt. So they want you to override the one that they've created and they've given to you with theirs. So in here, I'm going to copy all of this for a second into the one they've given me, paste it, and save it. And if I close both of those, I should be able to open up phone and have it show me there as a text file. I'd also leave that web page there if they want to look at the web page. Might save them some time, they may want to do that. So let's scroll down there. Question number 3 is all about the little man computer, machine level coding, some very low level coding. It says complete the table in the electronic answer document out for all the outputs for the following assembly program with numbers 2 and 8. So there's no table there, but we're going to fill it in anyway. So input, store number 1, input, store number 2, load number 1, add number 2. So that gives us our element, and then output. So our first output is going to be the number 10. It says load number 1, subtract number 2, and then output. So number 1 is 8, we're subtracting 2 from it, so it's going to give us 6. And then it says halt, and that's it. Part B. Part B says write an assembly language program that accepts 3 inputs, adds the first 2 before subtracting the third, and then outputs the total. So we're going to say input, and I'm going to say store num1. I want input, store num2, input, store num3. So I've got my 3 numbers, I've inputted them and I've stored them. I now want to load num1, I want to add num2, and what did it say I wanted us to do? So it adds the first 2 before subtracting the third. Okay, I'm going to say sub num3, and then I'm going to say halt. Oh no, not halt, my bad, I almost forgot the output. Now I want to halt, and I need the data for num1, data for num2, and data for num3. Let's just tab those 3 in as well, and they are using those small bits of code. So that's that little man computer code there, taking the stored number 1, stored number 2, stored number 3, loading them, adding, subtracting, outputting, and then halting before we move on to question number 4. Now I'm going to put question 4 on its own page a second just to make it a bit easier to see. Question 4 then says an algorithm to count the total number of visitors to a website in a 24-hour period is shown below. The algorithm should output the highest number of visitors in an hour, the lowest number of visitors in an hour, the average number of visitors per hour. It says that certain lines of the algorithm are missing, indicated by ... Well, it's hashtags in this one. Using 5 lines of code below, complete it. So they haven't given them here for you to copy and paste, but you can see them here. So let's read through this algorithm. It says declare car. Bit strange. Total visitors equals integer. Highest visitors equals integer. Or is integer, sorry. Lowest visitors is integer. Set total visitors is to 0. Set highest visitors to 0. Then a blank line. So one of these next three, or one of these 5 are going to fit into place. And actually, if I look at it, the very first one here falls in line with what's happening. Setting the visitors, setting the visitors. So let's copy that line and paste it there. That's going to be a bit squiffy. I'm going to say keep text only, just to keep it the same sort of format. After that, we enter into a for loop. We got for 1 into 24. We input the current number. We have a blank line. Something needs to happen there. Our options are outputting something, ending our loop, ending the whole program, or adding to our total count. Now I think it's a bit strange to try and end the whole program there, or end the loop there. So it's definitely not going to be end subroutine or end for. The output is outputting something that we haven't even calculated yet. So just with deduction, I can see that it's going to be this one here. I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to paste text. Now that's slightly messed up. There we go. So we've got that there. It says if the visitors is greater than the highest visitors, set highest visitors to visitors. And if the visitors is less than the lowest visitors, then set the lowest visitors to equal visitors. And if for I here, and then we've got something here. Now I'm going to go through and I'm going to put in the end for into this section here to stop my loop from continuing. So let's paste that as text only, and it gives us 2 left at the end here. Now we've got the mean visitors is the total visitors divided by 24. Output total visitors, output highest number of visitors, output lowest number of visitors. So it goes pretty obviously that output the lowest number of visitors, this one here, should go in the next line below. Even though lowest number of visitors is already there, that's the only one that's logically going to go into that section there. And the last one should be end subroutine. So let me just copy that, and let's go paste in place. Now, realistically, end lowest number of visitors, probably meant to be the mean number of visitors, and in fact, actually, like I said earlier, I wrote this, it was supposed to be the mean, so mean number of visitors. I just messed up ever so slightly there, and that should be website, not car. But that goes through and shows how we figure out which ones of those go into what slots. As we go a bit further down then, we come on to question part B, and it says explain the use of self-documenting variables identifiers is important in code. So total visitors, highest visitors, lowest visitors, mean visitors, they're all what's known as self-documenting identifiers. They're variables where a variable name tells you what it's supposed to do. So why is this important? So let's say self-documenting identifiers are important as they help the developer to understand what the variable is meant to store. They make the code more readable and easier for any other developers to edit. What I mean by that is, if total visitors was X, highest visitors was Y, and lowest visitors was Z, when you read through that, you wouldn't necessarily easily understand what X, Y, and Z were doing. You'd have to keep referring back to what X, Y, and Z were to understand what they were supposed to be doing. By having them as self-documented and having them say their name, it makes it so much easier. So, computer programs can search through data. There are different search algorithms. Place an X in the box for the correct search algorithm. A linear search, going from the start to the end of something, or a binary search are available to us. Now, they want to know which one is best for sorted and which one was best for unsorted data. Well, if the data is sorted into alphabetical order, and I was searching through for names, I would search in a linear fashion. So that's going to be X. That leaves us with unsorted as our possible other answer. Now that table has come a little bit under where it's supposed to be. It was supposed to be question C, so let's just drop that there. And we have question 5 left on here. Okay, question 5 then looks at you creating an algorithm this time. And it says that they want an algorithm to calculate the cook time in minutes needed to bake a cake. So I'm going to say, like they've done up here, they've started with declare website, and say declare cake. Underneath then, I'm going to say weight is integer. I'm going to say time is integer, or even I could change time to real, given the fact that it is a decimal value. It could be 15.5 minutes or something like that. But the output they've given us is a whole number, so I'm going to stick with a whole number and play it safe with integer. Underneath that then, so we've got our two elements for the elements. Let's say set weight equals 0. I'm going to say set time equals 0. I'm going to ask the user to input something. Now, do we have an input down in here? We do. Input there. So I'm going to say input, just like they have, weight. I'm then going to say time equals weight times by, I'm going to use X for this rather than the star just because it's clearer, and they say 20. So we've got 20 minutes per pound. Now, from there then, I'm going to say if time is greater than 60, I'm going to say output. Actually, I've got ahead of myself there ever so slightly. I'm going to say here output time in minutes, and I'm going to say then comma time. I say if time is greater than 60, output, and the message I said, warning, time calculator is longer than an hour. So we paste that, we've got that there. Now I need an end if to finish that off, and an end subroutine, giving us our algorithm. As we go down then, we're now onto the Greenfoot section. So we're done with this section here. I've answered all the questions, all those parts are in place. I'm just going to hit the save icon, close that down. We're back over to here then. Now, over here we have some Greenfoot based questions, and it says that a zoo would like a new scenario created in the Java programming language with the Greenfoot environment. The zoo will use a scenario as a screensaver. Create a new world in Greenfoot environment called zoo display and set the background of this image to a grid using the grass image. So in zoo, I actually have this already created. I'm going to open up the project. I can't, the SDK wouldn't launch directly for me there. So I'm going to go into Greenfoot. I'm going to go to scenario open, and in zoo, I'm going to open zoo up. Now, remember, be extremely literal with what they say. They've got the world, they've got the display there, that's already set up, it's got the grass in the background. Now, it could be that when you come into it, there is no image set, and there is no image set here. So let's go set image and remove that image as well, and compile it. And it could look something like this, because it says, create a new class called elephant and set the image to grass. So if I go into here, I can go set image, I've got the elephant, I can go OK. Again, set image, grass, OK, compile it. So that's A done. B is done as well because we have the elephant in place. C is populate the world with 3 elephants. Remember, be literal. They said 3, I'm going to put 3 in place. Enter the code into the elephant class, which will cause the elephants to turn and move randomly as if wandering around the zoo. So I'm going to open this up, and in this section here then, I'm going to create my code. So I tell my elephants to move by 2 marks. I'm going to say if Greenfoot dot is, oh no, not is key down, we're not moving it ourselves, it's random. So I want it to get random number, and I'm going to say that number is out of 0 to 10, and if that random number is equal to 0, or 0 to 9, sorry, because there's 10 digits, then I want him to turn, and I want him to turn by, say, it says random, so let's do another random number, Greenfoot dot get random number again. And this time around, I'm going to do by 100. Now, with that all in place, my code there, looking as it does, I'm going to compile it. I'm going to go back in and do it again because I forgot to do one key thing for Greenfoot, and that is save the world. And I'm going to run that. So they are wandering around a little bit backwards, but as if they are roaming around the zoo. And that would be that one done. In the scenario then it says, save your completed world as final elephants. So I'm going to go to scenario, save as, and I'm going to save it as final elephants. And save it. That will close, reopen, and in here I have final elephants. If I compile it, press run, I can see that it is still running. So that works perfectly fine. On to the last question then, question 7. And this one is looking at the Greenfoot Zoo. So let's just open that up. Let's go and Greenfoot again. I want to go to scenario and open, and I want the farm one. Let's get rid of my zoo. And within this then, it says populate the world with a single farmer, 3 or more apples, and 3 or more rocks. So let's go a single farmer. Apples, it says 3 or more, so I'm going to just dot a couple of those around, and 3 or more rocks. And I know it's not really realistic, but let's have some falling rocks from the sky as well. They're all done. I forgot again, let's go back in and save the world. Now, with that all in place there, the next one is edit the apple and rock objects so that they move and turn around at random. Well, that's the same as what we've just done. So in my apple, I'm going to tell it to move. You move slower than my elephants did, they can move by 1. And I say if Greenfoot dot get random number is out of 10 equals 0 again, then I want it to turn. There's a turn by get random number, and again I'm just going to make that out of 100. That's going to be exactly the same code that I'm going to use with my rock. So let's open the rock up and let's put that in place and compile it. Now if I press play, they move and turn at random. It says edit the farmer object so he moves at an appropriate speed in the direction of the arrow keys when pressed. So again, it is crucial, we're not using WASD in this method, we're using the arrow keys. So I'm going to say if, say Greenfoot dot is key down, and that key is going to be the left arrow to start with. Then I want him to move, so I'm going to say move by 2 appropriately, and I want him to set rotation to, and it all works off a circle, so we're going to go for 180 to turn him backwards. Now I'm going to get rid of these comments a second here, they don't really have any impact, and it does mean I can have more of my screen to show you. If I copy this 4 times or 3 times, we have left, I'm going to say right, I'm going to say up and down. Now left is 180, right can either be 0 or 360, but obviously we can't put the comma in place there, I'm just showing you it's either one or the other, so I'm going to say 0. Up, we're going to go 0, 90, 180, so that's 270, and as you saw just now, down is equal to 90. And if I compile that, we have no errors, and if I run that using my arrow keys, in fact actually I've had a I put the 270 in the wrong place. 270 goes there, that is the up key, compile it, and let's get rid of that and run that, and I can move my farmer around. You can do handstands, but nevertheless you can move around. So it says edit the farmer object so it collects the apples when they collide, removes the apple from the world, add a sound for when the farmer collects the apples, add a counter so that the apples can be collected. On here then, what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip that, I'm going to say, let's compile it to get it back to place, on my apple, that if is touching, so is the farmer dot class, so does the apple collide with the farmer? If it does, I'm going to say Greenfoot dot play sound, and the sound is in the sounds file, so farm sounds is called collect .wav. We know it's .wav because it's a type of WAV sound file, so I got collect.wav, and I say get world dot remove object and it is this, the current object. So if I compile that now, remembering how to spell sound, and now if I run this, hopefully my recording will also pick up the sound. Now it says add a counter, display how many apples have been collected, edit the code so that the counter loses a point once deducted, the farmer collides with a rock. So here's my counter. If I go new counter and drop it there, it's not going to work. As always, the counter code isn't the right counter code. So my advice, as always, is to delete the counter, go edit, import class, counter. So I have a working counter, and I drop a basic counter and save the world. Now in this here, one thing to keep in mind is the removal should always be last. So here I'm going to say counter with a capital C, and say get world. I'm going to say get objects, and they are types of counter.classes, and I wanted to get 0. So I've casted it as a counter from the world objects, getting the first one I come across, and I'm going to say add 1. Compile that, no errors, there's my counter, and if I run along, when I collect them, the score goes up. The last part says edit the code so it's the opposite, it loses when it collides with a rock, and then save it as final farm. So I'm going to open up my Apple code here. I'm going to take this bottom if statement, which is the one we just done for touching the farmer. I'm going to add that to the rock and paste it there. I'm going to get rid of the sound file because it doesn't say to play a noise. I'm going to minus my score and remove the object. Compile it, and let's see. If I go straight up and collect this rock, I get a negative. No sound. I only get sound when I collect the apples, and my score goes up. So that all works. And as it says, save it as final farm. I'm going to go save as, and final farm, and save. Again, it'll disappear. It reappears. I hit compile, run just to check it still all works. My counter image has changed, so I'm going to right click on the counter and go to set image, counter, and compile it, and go scenario save just to be sure, and then close that down. Once I've done all of that, question's finished, I'm going to come back to here, I'm going to go back into walkthrough, and I'm going to right click, zip, add to archive, and the archive name is going to be James Jones, my name. So then I got that as a zipped file. And that is a walkthrough of a self-prepared exam content for tomorrow's exam.